The colony called Horizon 12 was not famous or important to most people on Earth. It was a quiet place far from the busy trade routes where families lived simple lives. They grew food, studied the local plants, and sent regular updates to Earth about progress. Most of the time, the messages were calm and almost boring. Children running around fields, researchers checking soil samples, miners talking about small mineral discoveries. Everything always sounded peaceful. That is why the silence felt so strange. Earth usually received updates from Horizon 12 every 2 days. Sometimes a day late, sometimes early, but never completely missing. When the usual message did not arrive, the communication teams thought it was a technical issue. Maybe a satellite was out of alignment, or the weather on the colony interfered with transmission. Problems like these had happened before. But then the trouble grew. After a full day passed with nothing received, Earth sent a direct request for status. It was standard protocol, a simple short message that asked the colony to respond. No reply came. The silence caused the communication center to escalate the issue. More attempts were made, each one a little more urgent. Still nothing. On the third day, the first signs of worry appeared. A few engineers tried to capture stray signals, hoping for even a broken transmission. Finally, a very weak and broken distress signal appeared for only a few seconds. It was so faint that most of the message was lost in noise. Only a few words were clear enough to understand. They spoke of fear, smoke, and something attacking from the sky. Then the signal cut off completely. Earth froze. For a long moment, everyone in the communication command center stood quiet. The faint voice from the colony carried too much fear to ignore. Something had gone wrong. Something serious. But nobody could confirm what happened or who caused it. Investigators checked satellite paths that used to orbit near Horizon 12, but most of those satellites now showed only fragments. A few broken pieces drifted slowly through space. They had strange scorch marks on them. The engineers tried to analyze the patterns, but the damage was too severe to get clear answers. Still, the marks did not look natural. They looked like the result of a direct energy strike. The type used by advanced fleets. This was the moment when calm concern began turning into alarm. A meeting was called among Earth's high-level officials. The council gathered around a holographic display showing the last recovered satellite images from Horizon 12. They were blurry and damaged, but not enough to hide everything. They showed smoke rising from the colony's main area, buildings with blackened roofs, ground vehicles turned over and burned. The whole scene looked like it had experienced a fast and powerful attack. Even though the images lacked detail, the emotional impact was strong. Silence filled the room for several minutes. People stared at the display, trying to understand what had happened. The colony had around 30,000 residents. They were farmers, scientists, engineers, teachers, workers, families with children, people who had gone there to build a peaceful life. Nobody wanted to imagine the worst. But the truth was becoming harder to deny. Finally, one of the lead analysts presented a small piece of information that changed everything. A tiny sensor unit from Horizon 12 had managed to send its last memory packet before being destroyed. It was a simple device, not designed for high-quality recordings, but the short burst of data was enough to reveal a clearer picture. The data showed shapes of ships large, unfamiliar ships descending toward the colony. They were not human ships. Their design, size, and engine signatures did not match anything Earth had built or traded for. The room fell silent again. There had always been tension in certain parts of the galaxy. Some alien factions saw humans as a new and unpredictable force. Some disliked how quickly Earth had been expanding its technology and settling new worlds. But until now, no group had dared to directly attack a human colony. The officials reviewing the data knew this was not an accident. The attack looked intentional. It looked planned. And it looked like a message. But nobody understood why. News of the missing colony began to spread across Earth. In the beginning, media outlets were told to stay calm and wait for official confirmation. But people are good at sensing when something is wrong. Rumors started forming. People talked about the silence, the strange signals, the broken satellites. Social media filled with questions, fears, and theories. Families of colony members demanded answers. Some cried on camera. Others stood firm, asking Earth's leaders to find out what happened and to bring their people home. Every passing hour made the silence heavier. Finally, the government decided it could not hide the truth any longer. During a global broadcast, a spokesperson explained that contact with Horizon 12 had been lost, that distress signals had been detected, and that early evidence suggested hostile involvement. The spokesperson also stated that Earth would investigate fully and respond appropriately. The announcement was calm and controlled, but people around the world felt the tension behind the words. They felt the pain of not knowing, the hope that maybe some colonists survived, the fear that maybe none did. Across Earth, ordinary citizens reacted differently. Some were angry. Some were sad. Some were confused. Others simply felt numb. Even those who had no personal connection to Horizon 12 felt the weight of the moment. It was more than just the loss of a colony. It was the shock of realizing that someone out there believed they could strike humans without consequence. In space agencies, military stations, and research centers, the atmosphere changed immediately. Technicians worked late into the night. Engineers rechecked systems. Intelligence units searched through every piece of data they could find. Everyone wanted answers, but the hardest truth was that answers would take time. There were only fragments of evidence, only pieces of images, only seconds of audio, no clear identity of the attackers, no clear motive, no clear survivors. That uncertainty created a heavy silence across Earth that lasted for days. For the families of Horizon 12, each day without news felt like a year. They kept hoping for rescue signals or survivor messages. But none came. In the background, however, far from the public eye, the leaders of Earth were not simply waiting. They were preparing. Many people on Earth did not know that large parts of Earth's defense plan had been quietly upgraded for years. Shipyards hidden around the planet and in deep orbit had been built for a scenario they prayed would never come. But now, for the first time, those hidden systems activated, while the public experienced sadness and fear. The inner circles of Earth's defense network were focused on one thing, making sure this would never happen again. Behind secure doors, officials spoke with urgency. This was not a small incident. This was not a misunderstanding. A human colony had been attacked. That meant Earth was now facing something far larger than one destroyed settlement. It meant humans were no longer viewed as harmless newcomers in the galaxy. It meant Earth had to decide how to respond, but that decision would not be made in panic. Earth's leaders wanted facts. They needed proof of who was responsible and why. So investigators worked endlessly, searching every scrap of data. They zoomed into blurred shapes, enhanced burned video files, tracked energy signatures. Every discovery, even small ones, started building a clearer picture. And the clearer that picture became, the more certain it was that the attackers were not acting by accident. They were part of a larger force, a powerful one that believed burning a human colony would not lead to consequences. They had miscalculated. Earth had suffered, yes. The loss was painful, but grief was turning into resolve. The silence of Horizon 12 was turning into something else, a quiet determination that Earth would not allow such tragedy to repeat. Everyone, on the planet could feel that change coming. The colony was gone. But the story was only beginning. Earth was preparing to take a step that would echo across the galaxy. A step that would show that humanity did not break under pressure. Humanity answered pressure. And the answer would not be small. The moment when Earth finally understands what happened to Horizon 12, even though the truth is hard to accept, people on Earth refuse to look away. The quiet shock that spread across cities soon turns into a heavy silence. Families watch the news without saying a word. Workers pause in the middle of their tasks. Students stop talking in classrooms. Every screen shows the same message. The colony is gone, and there are no signs of survivors. For a while, the world feels frozen. No one argues. No one tries to blame anyone. Every person thinks the same simple thought. If this can happen to one colony, it can happen to others. It is a moment where fear tries to grow, but something else rises even faster: unity. Humanity has its disagreements, but when something threatens their people, they become one. It is quiet, but it is strong. And that is the moment the Terran Defense Assembly calls an emergency meeting. The meeting is held in an underground chamber beneath Earth's primary orbital command center. The room is circular and wide, filled with calm blue lights and transparent displays floating in the air. Representatives arrive from every region of Earth. They don't raise their voices. They don't waste time. Everyone understands this is not a normal crisis. This is something much bigger. One of the analysts begins with a simple explanation. The attackers were not pirates, not criminals, not a group working alone. They were part of an organized galactic force. They saw humans growing quickly in the galaxy and believed humans should remain limited. This belief turned into fear, and fear turned into action. So they removed the colony without even speaking to Earth. The room stays quiet after this explanation. People look at the hologram of Horizon 12, showing cracked ground and burned structures. No bodies are visible because the heat had erased almost everything. Seeing this makes something stir deep inside every person in the room. It is not anger. It is not blind aggression. It is a deep, steady understanding that Earth must never allow this to happen again. After a long pause, the assembly begins to discuss what must be done. There is a moment where diplomacy is considered, but everyone knows diplomacy requires the other side to respect life. The attackers showed the opposite. They did not open communication. They did not give warnings. They did not negotiate. They simply acted. And this means humanity needs to act as well, not out of rage, but out of responsibility. That is when someone mentions Project Colossus. Project Colossus is not something many people knew about. It was started long ago, quietly and carefully, during a time when Earth hoped for peace but prepared for the possibility of danger. The project's purpose was simple: to build shipyards, factories, and orbital platforms that could construct a massive defense fleet if humanity ever faced a large-scale threat. Most of these facilities were disguised as research stations, mining hubs, or industrial outposts. But deep inside them were structures meant to assemble warships larger and stronger than anything humanity had ever used. For years, these shipyards worked slowly, building only a few hulls at a time. The idea was to stay ready without provoking anyone. But now, the time for limits had passed. The assembly votes unanimously to activate the project fully. There are no arguments. Every representative understands the importance. The order is given with calm words, yet the meaning behind it is powerful. Earth will build the fleet it hoped it would never need. The message goes out across every major orbital ring and shipyard. Workers stand up from their stations as the alert flashes across their screens. Engineers check their equipment. AI systems shift into a new mode, rerouting power and opening dormant construction zones. Massive doors that had never been used slide open, releasing clouds of frost as they reveal unfinished. Warship frames longer than cities. People on Earth and in orbit feel the change instantly. The world becomes busier, focused, and purposeful. Factories switch to emergency production schedules. Starship engineers move between stations with new urgency. Even civilian volunteers offer to help support the effort. It is not forced. It is not pushed. Humanity simply steps forward together, the way they always do when something threatens their people. The orbital shipyards begin lighting up one by one. Some orbit the planet in neat rings, while others drift farther out, hidden in shadow. The moment the activation signal reaches them, they come alive like cities, waking from sleep. Giant robotic arms begin lifting and shaping metal plates. Energy cores are lowered into place. Dreadnought hulls, once empty frames, start gaining real structure. Engines are built the size of skyscrapers. Shield generators the size of mountains are installed. Even though the work is intense, there is a sense of calm confidence. This is not done in panic. It is done with method and skill. Humanity is not rushing blindly. They are following a plan created years ago by people who understood the risks of entering a galaxy full of unknown powers. As days pass, the number of dreadnoughts rises quickly. At first, there are hundreds, then thousands, then tens of thousands. Every time a ship powers up for the first time, a deep vibration travels through the shipyard, and workers pause for a second to feel the moment. It reminds them why they are doing this. It reminds them that they are building protection not just for Earth, but for every human living across the stars. The galaxy notices the activity immediately. Alien observation posts near Earth report something unusual: a rapid increase in ship signatures, each one enormous. At first, they think it is a malfunction. But the data keeps coming, and soon they realize the truth. The quiet species that many assumed would stay peaceful forever is waking up. Some alien governments send private messages expressing concern. Others send warnings. But Earth does not respond to any of them yet. The Assembly decides that until they understand the full extent of the threat, communication can wait. Right now, the focus is simple: secure humanity's future. Back on Earth, every day people follow the updates with a mix of worry and pride. They see live feeds of the shipyards, watching massive structures move like living machines. They hear the count 10,000 ships, then 20,000, then more. People begin to understand something important. Earth is not acting out of destruction. Earth is acting to ensure safety, stability, and justice. During these days, the mood of the planet shifts again. It is no longer heavy with shock. It becomes steady with determination. People talk calmly but firmly. They say things like, "No one should touch our people again." They say, "We don't want war, but we won't allow harm." These simple words spread everywhere. In homes, on screens, in streets, and inside workplaces. They become a quiet guide for everyone involved. The Assembly watches the progress from their command center. Every few hours, a new report arrives. Shipyards ahead of schedule, resources flowing smoothly, AI units adjusting production to increase efficiency. It almost feels unreal to see 500,000 dreadnoughts taking shape, each one a symbol of both strength and responsibility. But the leaders remain careful. They do not celebrate. They do not show arrogance. They understand that power must be controlled with discipline. They want the galaxy to understand that humanity does not seek conquest. Humanity seeks protection and fairness. And yet, the attackers who destroyed Horizon 12 still remain silent. They do not apologize. They do not offer explanations. They do not reach out. This silence becomes the final reason the Assembly believes activating Project Colossus was the right decision. By the end of Part 2, the shipyards glow brighter than Earth itself when seen from orbit. The dreadnoughts form long lines, stretching farther than the eye can see, each one waiting for the moment it will leave the dock. The number reaches its final target, 500,000 warships. Earth is no longer frozen in shock. Earth is prepared, and the galaxy is starting to understand that humanity, once peaceful and quiet, has now stepped forward with a voice impossible to ignore. The moment when Earth's shipyards are glowing like small suns in orbit. From the surface, people can look up at night and see long silver lines forming across the sky, reflections of the massive construction happening above. The world has changed so quickly that even though everyone understands the reason, they still feel amazed when they see the sheer scale of it. Across the galaxy, however, the reaction is completely different. Many alien governments that once believed humans were a peaceful, quiet species now stare at their displays in shock. They had expected Earth to send a message, hold a protest, maybe ask for diplomatic talks. They never expected Earth to build a fleet larger than anything seen in known space. First panic begins in a small star system, not far from Earth. A team of alien researchers monitoring. Signal activity around the planet sees thousands of new power signatures. At first, they assume it's a mistake in their sensors. They run tests. They scan again. They even replace the equipment. But the numbers keep rising: 10,000 ships, then 20,000, then 50,000. When the count crosses 100,000, the lead researcher sends a report to their home government with only 2 words: not possible. That report travels quickly, and soon many alien leaders gather to discuss it. Within hours, more updates arrive from different observation posts, all showing the same thing. Earth is building the largest fleet in modern galactic history. In some places, people try to convince themselves that the humans are bluffing. In others, fear spreads as fast as the information got in the Galactic Council's main hall, which sits inside a huge floating ring above a bright blue star. A meeting begins that no one thought would ever be necessary. Representatives from many species sit in circular rows, talking in rushed tones. The air is thick with worry. Some are calm but disturbed. Others shake with nervousness. They cannot understand why Earth, a species they once saw as harmless newcomers, is now mobilizing like an ancient empire preparing for war. One representative says the dreadnought count is exaggerated and that Earth could never build so many ships. Another representative calmly shows a hologram from a neutral science station proving the numbers are accurate. The room falls silent. A few look away, unable to accept what they're seeing. For years, humans had been underestimated. Now, the galaxy realizes it made dangerous assumptions. In homes across other worlds, regular citizens also hear the news. Some feel concern. Others feel curiosity. Many think humans must be reacting to something serious. They wonder what could push an entire species to build such a fleet so quickly. Rumors begin spreading through trade routes and communication channels. Some say Earth is preparing to invade. Others say Earth is acting in self-defense. No one knows the full truth yet, but the uncertainty alone is enough to make many nervous. Meanwhile, Earth remains focused. The humans do not send out any messages explaining their actions. They do not threaten anyone. They do not argue. They simply continue building. And that silence, combined with the rising dreadnought numbers, makes the galaxy even more tense. Inside one alien military headquarters, officers gather around a wide table, displaying Earth in the center. One officer points at the map and says the humans were always friendly, always cooperative. Another officer replies that this friendliness should not have been mistaken for weakness. A third officer asks if they should prepare a defensive line in case Earth decides to attack. The room falls quiet again, because no one knows if Earth has any intention of attacking. They only know that humanity now has the ability to do so. Across another star system, A council of scientists meets to analyze the speed of Earth's construction. They discover something shocking. The humans were preparing for this long before Horizon 12 was destroyed. They had been quietly building frameworks, stations, and hidden shipyards for decades. The scientists realized these preparations were not for conquest, they were for survival. Earth had always hoped for peace, but they had planned for the worst, just in case. Humanity understood that the galaxy was not always kind or predictable. This realization spreads quickly among academic groups, scholars and researchers across multiple worlds. Many begin to advocate restraint, warning their governments not to provoke Earth further. They explain that humans rarely start conflict, but when forced into it, humans do not hold back. They act decisively, not out of anger, but out of resolve. Back on Earth, people continue to work calmly. They are aware that the galaxy is reacting, but they remain focused. The mission is not to intimidate others. The mission is to make sure no other human colony meets the same fate as Horizon 12. Workers in shipyards finish their shifts and look proudly at the dreadnoughts they helped build. Engineers talk about the power and stability of the new ships. Pilots begin their training programs, practicing maneuvers in large simulators. The entire process is smooth, organized, and filled with purpose. Even the youngest members of society understand that what they are witnessing is something that will be remembered for generations. People do not celebrate loudly. Instead, they carry a quiet strength in their hearts. This is how humanity responds to loss, not with despair, but with unity. As the fleet grows, alien scouts attempt to approach Earth to gather close-up details. One small reconnaissance craft enters a boundary zone near the outer ring of shipyards. It tries to stay hidden, but the humans detect it instantly. They do not fire on it. They do not chase it. A single transmission is sent: do not enter. The message is simple, but its meaning is powerful. The alien crew turns around and leaves immediately. When they report back, they describe lines of giant ships stretching farther than they could measure. They explain that Earth is not rushing. Earth is preparing with patience and precision. Their report causes a wave of unease across multiple star systems. In the Galactic Council, panic grows stronger. Some representatives argue that they should reach out to Earth before the fleet becomes too powerful. Others argue that contacting Earth might provoke them. A few foolish voices suggest launching a preemptive strike, but they are quickly shut down. Even the most aggressive members of the Council understand that fighting a species capable of building 500,000 dreadnoughts in such a short time would be a losing strategy. Finally, the Council decides to send a neutral envoy to request a meeting with Earth. The message they send is respectful and cautious, asking for cooperation and understanding. But Earth does not answer. Not yet. The Terran Defense Assembly discusses the message and decides it is not the time for talks. They want the fleet completed and secured before anything is negotiated. They want to ensure that humanity has full protection before opening dialogue. The decision is not made with hostility. It is made with caution and wisdom. As more dreadnoughts activate, the galaxy begins to realize that humans are not unpredictable. They are not emotional. They are not reckless. They are disciplined, strategic, and frighteningly unified when they feel threatened. This understanding spreads quietly through the galactic community, changing opinions and shaping future decisions. Meanwhile, humanity continues moving forward with calm determination. Pilots perform test flights in smaller vessels. Commanders review tactical planning with quiet focus. Families at home talk about the future, not with fear, but with hope that once the fleet is ready, the galaxy will finally understand that humanity values peace, but refuses to be harmed again. As Part 3 ends. The dreadnoughts form formations that stretch across space, like moving continents. Their engines glow softly, their hulls reflecting the light of distant stars. The galaxy watches from afar, trying to understand what humanity will do next. And even though no one knows for sure, one thing has become clear. Earth is no longer a quiet world lost among many species. Earth is now a force the galaxy can no longer ignore. The moment when the last row of dreadnoughts leaves the shipyard. The engines glow softly like rising suns, and the dark space around Earth becomes crowded with silent giants. Every ship is steady, smooth, and precise. Nothing looks rushed. Nothing looks chaotic. The fleet is massive, yet it moves with a calm discipline that almost feels unreal. People across Earth watch live broadcasts showing these warships lining up in long bands. Some viewers sit quietly with their hands folded, while others stand near windows in their homes and stare at the sky, knowing a fleet beyond imagination is floating above them. No one cheers loudly. No one treats it like a celebration. It feels more like a moment of responsibility, a moment that changes everything got inside the Terran Defense Assembly. The atmosphere is steady but intense. The representatives gather around a large transparent table showing a model of the galaxy. Thousands of star systems twinkle like fireflies. A careful silence fills the room as they prepare the message that Earth will finally broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. The message is short, simple, and not emotional. It is designed to show clarity, not fury. It is meant to explain Earth's position without leaving room for doubt. And when the moment comes, the broadcast begins. Across the stars, in dozens of languages and formats, the same line appears on every major screen. A colony was burned. This is the answer. Nothing else is said. No threats. No insults. No warnings. Just a sentence that carries the weight of every lost life on Horizon 12. The silence that follows across the galaxy is heavy. In some alien cities, crowds gather to stare at public displays, whispering among themselves. In others, people freeze in their tasks, unsure how to react. Even those who never cared about human affairs feel something shift inside them. When they read the message in the Galactic Council's main chamber, representatives sit in complete stillness. Some lower their heads. Others lean back, shocked by how few words Earth used. One representative finally breaks the silence by saying the message is not aggressive, but it is final. Another notes that humans rarely speak in dramatic ways. When they speak simply, it usually means they are serious. Many alien leaders quickly call their advisors, asking for updates on the human fleet. Reports arrive showing the dreadnoughts moving from their Earth orbits into organized formations, stretching across nearby sectors. The ships are huge, but they move quietly, almost gracefully. They do not fire anything. They do not advance toward enemy borders yet. They just take position. Meanwhile, on Earth, pilots and commanders step into their vessels for the first fully unified deployment. Inside the main Dreadnought Command Center, crews settle into their seats. The lights glow softly. The ship hums with controlled energy. Every person in the crew understands the purpose of this mission. It is not revenge. It is not glory. It is justice and protection. Far out in space, in the region where the attackers came from, smaller alien ships begin to scatter. They see the human fleet's long-range scans approaching. They know Earth is moving in that direction. Some commanders try to send apologies. Others send messages promising they had nothing to do with Horizon 12, but Earth does not respond yet. Humanity wants to reach the border zones before opening any discussion. Inside one alien control station, officers watch the human fleet move closer. One of them rubs his eyes, unable to believe the numbers. Another whispers that perhaps the humans are coming for revenge. But the captain shakes his head and says humanity is not known for blind rage. They act with purpose. And that is what scares him the most. As the fleet travels through the void, The communication channels inside the ships stay clear. Commanders give short instructions. Pilots report their positions calmly. Technicians monitor engines and shields. It feels more like a steady heartbeat than a war march. Even the youngest crew members stay focused, reminding themselves that they are doing this to stop further harm, not to create it. Back on Earth, families sit together, watching the fleet's progress. Many parents quietly explain to their children why humanity must show strength now. They do not talk about hatred. They talk about safety. They talk about peace through preparedness. They talk about protecting every human, no matter which planet they live on. In the Galactic Council, an emergency meeting continues. Some representatives argue for surrender, even though Earth has not demanded anything yet. Others urge calm, saying that the humans have not fired a single shot. A few insist that humans should be asked for peace talks immediately. But one older representative speaks softly, saying that before anyone approaches Earth, they must first understand why humans act this way. He explains that humans have lost too much in their early history. They learned long ago that when someone harms their people, they answer completely. Not halfway. The room stays quiet as the others think about his words. Meanwhile, the fleet crosses into the border regions where the attackers once controlled territory. As the dreadnoughts approach, the hostile faction that destroyed Horizon 12 finally reacts. Their sensors pick up hundreds of thousands of human ships. They send a message filled with panic, claiming they acted under misunderstanding. They say they did not realize the colony was peaceful. They say they want to negotiate. The message is forwarded to the Terran Defense Assembly. The representatives review it, but they do not respond immediately. They want the fleet fully positioned before they speak. They want to ensure no other human world is in danger while they decide the future. The dreadnoughts slow as they reach the targeted system, positioning around key routes. The hostile faction's ships pull back, trying to stay as far away as possible. Some even power down their engines in fear. The difference between the two forces is impossible to ignore. The hostile fleet looks tiny, scattered, and unstable. The human fleet looks organized, unified, and powerful beyond measure. When the final formation locks into place, the assembly sends a reply to their hostile faction with calm, steady words. The message explains that humanity does not seek destruction, but it demands accountability. It demands the end of the faction's military control. It demands cooperation with investigations. It demands safety guarantees for all human colonies. This message spreads across the galaxy like a storm. Many alien observers feel relief. Others feel alarm. But nearly everyone agrees that Earth is not acting like a conqueror. Earth is acting like a protector, strong, clear, and unwilling to let injustice stand unanswered. In the days that follow, the hostile faction completely collapses. Their leaders resign. Their fleets surrender without resistance. Their structures fall apart as they accept Earth's terms. The galaxy watches in silence, realizing a truth they had never fully understood before. Humanity is peaceful, but peace is not weakness. Peace is a choice they protect with everything they have. Throughout all of this, the human fleet does not fire a single unnecessary shot. They do not invade planets. They do not punish civilians. They hold their positions, calm and prepared. They act not like a force of revenge, but like a shield stretching across the stars. As Part 4 reaches its end, the galaxy breathes slowly, unsure of what humanity will do next. The dreadnoughts continue to stand watch, forming a protective wall around human territories. Earth has spoken using both words and actions, and the message is unforgettable. Humanity never wanted trouble. Humanity never asked for conflict. But when a colony was harmed, Earth answered in a way the galaxy will remember forever. The quiet that follows the collapse of the hostile faction. Their ships float powerless near their borders, engines dim, lights fading. Many of their officers sit inside their command rooms with their hands folded, waiting for instructions they know will never come. They already accepted that Earth's response has ended their power completely. Their leadership has already admitted fault. Their military has already stepped down. Now they wait for what humanity will say next out across the galaxy. That same question fills every discussion, every meeting, every broadcast. What will Earth do after building such a massive fleet? Some fear a balanced retaliation. Others imagine Earth becoming a dominant force that dictates laws. But many hope that humanity will choose restraint, because they have seen that Earth's actions so far have been measured, calm, and purposeful. People across distant worlds talk quietly about the human fleet's behavior. Not a single unnecessary strike had been made. The ships had positioned themselves like guardians, not conquerors. Inside the Terran Defense Assembly, the representatives gather around a projection of several star systems. Their faces are serious, but no longer weighed down with fear. They have seen the galaxy's reaction. They understand that humanity now holds a responsibility it never asked for, but cannot ignore. They discuss the next step, and while the conversation is long and thoughtful, no one suggests revenge. No one asks for expansion. They only focus on justice, stability, and protection. One representative says the galaxy must see that humans never wanted dominance. Another says the fleet should remain active only until the investigation is complete. A third points out that other colonies might also need support or oversight to prevent similar tragedies. The room agrees that Earth's role is not to rule. It is to ensure peace where peace was broken. Meanwhile, inside a massive dreadnought drifting near the border of the ruined faction's territory, crew members sit at their stations. Some take small breaks, drinking warm liquids from silver pouches. Others watch the silent starfields from the windows. Even though they helped assemble the most powerful fleet ever made, they do not feel pride in the usual sense. They feel a quiet responsibility, like guardians watching over something fragile and important. They talk among themselves about their families back home, about normal life on Earth, about what they miss. They laugh softly at small jokes or stories. Their human emotions fill the metal halls, making the cold ship feel alive. And in those moments, it becomes clear to anyone who sees them that the strength of humanity does not come from machines or fleets. It comes from the people inside them, people who feel deeply, who hope, who care, and who protect. Back in the Galactic Council's main hall, alien representatives sit anxiously, waiting for Earth's next broadcast. Many expect the humans to demand resources or territories. Others fear Earth might isolate itself and refuse contact. But when Earth finally sends its message, the tone surprises everyone. The message is calm, clear, and structured. It explains that humanity does not seek expansion or control. The only demand is accountability from the group that destroyed Horizon 12 and a guarantee that no other colony, human or alien, will face the same fate. The message also states that the human fleet will remain deployed until the investigation is complete, after which Earth will reduce its presence if the galaxy proves it can maintain peace. This message travels across countless star systems, and the reaction is almost the same everywhere. Relief. In some alien cities, people cheer. In others, they sigh with gratitude. Even leaders who once feared humans now understand that humanity acts not with domination, but with principle. Earth does not want power for the sake of power. Earth only wants security, fairness, and a future where tragedy does not repeat. Soon after, a joint investigation team forms. It includes human experts and neutral investigators from several other species. Together, they begin reviewing data, ship logs, and recorded messages from the hostile faction. The findings are shared publicly. The attack on Horizon 12 was deliberate, driven by fear of human expansion. The faction believed that destroying the colony would slow humanity down. They assumed humans would protest, complain, and move on. They never imagined Earth would answer with unity and overwhelming preparedness. The galaxy listens as the truth becomes clear. Many admit that they too underestimated humans for years, seeing them as newcomers who enjoyed cooperation, art, and trade. They never realized that humanity's history on its own planet taught them how fragile peace can be. Humans had learned that protection is not something you hope someone else provides. It is something you build yourself. After the investigation concludes, the hostile faction is placed under strict oversight by multiple species. Their military is dissolved completely. Their leadership steps down and is replaced by peaceful administrators, chosen by a joint council. The galaxy accepts these steps, believing it is the only way to prevent future harm. This entire time, the human fleet remains stationed like a silent wall. But slowly, after months of supervision, the Terran Defense Assembly begins reducing the Dreadnought presence. The first big wave of ships returns to Earth space. People across the galaxy watch as the once overwhelming fleet slowly becomes smaller, leaving only a strong but reasonable defensive force behind. And this moment becomes another lesson for the galaxy. Earth showed strength, but Earth also showed restraint. Humanity never used the fleet for anything beyond its purpose. They did not demand payment. They did not claim territory. They protected what was theirs and then stepped back. When the first group of dreadnoughts approaches Earth, people gather on rooftops, balconies, and open fields, watching them descend from orbit. The ships glow softly like falling stars. Children point at them with excitement. Adults stand silently, feeling a mix of pride and relief. The planet feels the return of its guardians. Inside one returning dreadnought, crew members quietly celebrate. They helped protect humanity. They did their duty. Now they can go home. Their hands touch the smooth walls of the ship, as if thanking it for carrying them through this journey. They smile at each other, thinking about family reunions, warm meals, and the comfort of home. On Earth's surface, when the crew steps out of the ships, they are greeted by calm crowds. There are no loud celebrations. Instead, people offer small smiles, warm handshakes, gentle hugs, and heartfelt words like, "Thank you," and "Welcome back." It feels honest and deeply human. As the days pass, life returns to normal, but something inside humanity has changed. People feel a stronger connection to each other. They understand the value of unity. They feel pride not in the size of their fleet, but in the way their species responded with discipline, clarity, and purpose. Across the galaxy, many alien species start to see humans in a new light. They approach Earth for new alliances, not out of fear, but out of respect. They want to learn from humanity's stability and determination. Some even ask for joint protection agreements. Believing Earth's approach to peace is something worth supporting. But Earth accepts these alliances carefully. Humanity does not want to lead an empire. Humanity simply wants a galaxy where no colony human or alien faces unprovoked. Destruction again. As the story nears its close, one final message spreads across the stars, sent by the new overseers of the fallen faction. The message is simple. They apologize to humanity and promise to rebuild peacefully. They acknowledge that Earth's response taught them a lesson they will never forget. And in return, Earth sends a final message that carries hope instead of tension. A message that reflects everything humanity learned and everything it chooses to stand for. We protect our own. We seek peace. Let the future reflect understanding. With that, the fleet settles into its new balanced state. Earth breathes freely again. The galaxy feels calmer. And the memory of Horizon 12 becomes not just a loss, but a promise that humanity will always stand when needed, always act when necessary, and always defend life with clarity and unwavering resolve. The story ends with the stars shining quietly, the dreadnoughts drifting peacefully in distant orbits, and humanity walking forward with steady steps, ready to build a future shaped not by fear, but by strength and wisdom.